web applications work? Now, in a computer system, a web application is a client-side and server-side software application in which the client runs or requests in a web browser. Common web applications include email, online retail sales, online auctions, wikis, instant messaging services, and more. Many companies are shifting their focus to web applications that can be delivered as software as service or SaaS, such as moving to Microsoft 365. Before that, let's check what are the web app components. Now let's start with the web app components. So first, the web app consists of UI UX web application components. This includes activity logs, dashboards, notifications, settings, statistics, etc. These components have nothing to do with the operation of a web application architecture. Instead, they are part of the interface layout plan of web app. Now we have the structural components. The two major structural components of web app are client and server sides. The client component or the client side, the client component, is developed in CSS, HTML, and JS as it exists within the user's web browser. There is no need for operating system or device-related adjustments. The client component is representation of a web application's functionality that the end user interacts with. We have the server component. So the server component can be built using one or a combination of several programming languages and frameworks, including Java, .NET, Node.js, PHP, Python, and Ruby on Rails. The server component has at least two parts, app logic and database. The former is the main control center of the web application, while the latter is where all the persistent data is stored. Now here is an image that explains how the web app works. So here is your computer or device. You can see that. Here it is. Now here is the browser. It will read HTML. It will run JavaScript, for example. Now first it requests, you can see. Then as you can see, this is the public internet. And this is the ISP, the Internet Service Provider, with DNS, IP, etc., etc. Now from here, the ISP or the Internet will request the IP, the file.php, for example, if the website is on PHP. Now here is the server or the network connected computer. This is the server of the website. Now here you can see that we have a web server, for example, Nginx. And from Nginx, it will go to the app server, the PHP, the application software or the application server software. And from here, you can see that we have a database and you can connect the application to the database. For example, MySQL, all right? And here, by the way, you can see that we can have local images, local data files, the PHP code itself, the HTML code. Here will be inside the source code, inside the server. But the client side, it will be the HTML and JavaScript. And the server side, which is the server code or the PHP code. And here it will not be revealed to the client. Okay, now after we get the response, it will send back the HTML file and the internet will be forwarding that to us, and then we got the response that we want. All right, now I want to go in details for each step from here. So let's start with the first step. So your device or computer is connected to the internet and your browser requests a URL, yahoo.com, finance.php, whatever. Now the second step, your device connects to the public internet via your ISP, broadband or cellular provider, and tries to find the address from yahoo.com via DNS lookup, which is like a phone book for network addresses to computers connected to the internet. It allows a lookup by the domain name and returns an IP address, for example, 55.55. This is just an example, by the way. So just like your name might return your phone number in a phone book, this is the network address of the computer that is hosting that domain. Don't worry, we will talk about the DNS in details in this course, no worries, and we will use it practically and how to hack such a thing, ethical hacking. Now the third step, your request is transmitted through the internet to the IP address you found, similar to typing the number on your phone and placing a call. Now the fourth step, the computer connected to that IP address would have web server software running on it, and that it will go fetch the requested file and send it back. So if it is just .html file, the server finds it on the computer and send it back. But if it is a .php file, by the way, .php, we have a .python files, depends on the runtime or the stack you are running. But in our example here is a PHP, So the web server knows to hand off the request to the application server that it will process the PHP code. Now the fifth step. So the application server receives an HTTP request from web server and finds the file with the source code, programming instructions for that web address, so for example finance.php, and executes your PHP program. The sixth step, the program references a connection to database server, just another program run in the computer, and send it a query to request data stored and organized by the database server. The seventh step, here the database server fetches the files requested from the query. Okay, now the eighth step, the database server sends back the requested data to the application server. And in the ninth step, the application server combines this data with any other data your program instructs it to add and send it back to the web server as HTTP response. Now typically you just output HTML formatted text, but your program can inject data into it as it loops, okay, etc, etc. Now the 10th step, the web server sends back the HTML text to the requesting connection. And the data, at the 11th step, the data is transmitted over the internet back to your computer or device and the connection ends. Now here in the 12th step, your device browser reads the HTML code that was generated and display it on the screen. And here is the final step, by the way. And finally you see the code or you see the website you are sending. Again, don't worry about the DNS, don't worry about the HTTP. We will talk about these in details, but for now keep that on your mind. Thanks for watching.